short webinar about how best to prepare in the last few weeks before your exam. My name is Berni Wall, and I am an Ielts trainer. And this is the second of two webinars that I've done looking specifically at the last 2 to 3 weeks before you actually take your exam. If you missed last week's webinar, then you can still watch that on the YouTube channel. So just go over there and take a look at that. Last week we dealt with the practical matters of how to organize your time, what parts of the test to focus on, etc. And this week we're going to look at something a little bit different, which is more about the mental and mental preparation and focusing yourself so that you're really prepared in terms of confidence and your stamina on the actual day of the exam. For those that don't know me, as I said before, my name's Berni Wall. I'm an Ielts trainer. I've been training students for the Ielts exam for around 20 years, and I was for 5 years, I was an Ielts examiner. So I know how to approach the Ielts both from the examiner's point of view in what to look for in your writing and speaking particularly, and from a trainer's point of view in how to change what you're doing so that you can get the score that you want. I teach students online, and I've been doing that for almost 4 years now, and a lot of my students have got, in fact 80% of them have got the results that they want. Some immediately and some have taken a little bit longer. It all depends on where you are when you begin this process, where you are with your English. So what I want to do today is to put up some slides that I'm going to go through with you, which will help you to prepare really well in those last few weeks before you take your exam. We won't be doing a Q&A today, so I'm just going to go through the material and hopefully there will be some nuggets in there that will help you. So I'm just going to bring up the slides and then we'll get going. Okay, so many students prepare themselves very well in terms of the language skills that they need. And if you're looking, say, for Band 7, I'm sure that your language skills are at the Band 7 level. But I've seen students who then go into the exam and they don't get what they want. And it's difficult to understand why. And when I speak to them, because when my students take their exam, I always speak to them afterwards if they want to. And we go through what they felt had happened on the day. And sometimes there doesn't seem to be anything particular that they felt had gone wrong or had stopped them from getting their band score. And so it often comes down to some kind of confidence issue. One story I can tell you that happened recently was a student who was doing the reading and she found the reading quite difficult and assumed that she'd done badly in the reading. And because she felt quite shaken by her attempts at the reading, that affected her writing and she couldn't concentrate on the writing. And she sent me a text message after the writing and said, I've blown it. I messed up on the reading and that meant that my writing suffered because I really couldn't concentrate and I know my writing wasn't good either. So I just said, forget it. It's over, there's nothing you can do. Now prepare for your speaking and make sure that you are well prepared for the speaking and don't let this worry you anymore. In fact, when she got her result, her reading score was 7.5, so she needn't have worried. But because of that, her writing score had indeed suffered and she hadn't got the 7 that she wanted and that she was quite capable of getting. Now, this was nothing to do with her ability at all. It was the fact that because she felt that the reading had gone badly, which in fact it hadn't at all, then that really blocked her from doing the writing well. And these things can happen. So it's really important that you are very mentally prepared so that you can deal with these kinds of things on the day of the exam. So I like to call this part of your preparation the secret ingredient. And the secret ingredient that can make or break your performance on the actual day is your confidence level. It's also your mental stamina and your physical stamina, because it's a really long day. You don't get any breaks. You just move from one thing to the other. So you need a lot of physical stamina, you need mental stamina, and you need confidence to take you through the day of your exam. So the first thing that will help with your confidence and all these other things that I'm talking about is to get good. Now, what I mean by that is to get good at what you're doing. So make sure your listening is really good, you're reading, you're writing, you're speaking. Make sure that there is consistency in your scores so that if you want Band 7, you're always hitting at least 30 out of 40 and preferably something like 33 out of 40. So every time you do a practice listening, you need that 33. Okay, you may drop once or twice, but generally speaking, if you look across your scores, you're hitting that Band 7 and a little bit above for comfort mark. And that your writing is always going to get you Band 7, whatever the topic, whatever the type in task 1. It's got to be consistent. And you're speaking the same. It's got to be consistent. If there isn't consistency across the board, then your Band 7 is in doubt because it could go up or down. So you really need to be hitting above the band every time you do a practice test. When you're good like that, then you're going to be more confident. You're not going to worry too much about how you perform. If you're not always getting these scores consistently, then look for your weak spots. And if you look at last week's webinar, then there's more information there on how to make sure that you are hitting your level every time. You have to deal with it. Don't ignore it. Don't push it under the carpet. I often speak to students who say, I haven't done any writing because I'm too scared. If you feel like that, you're not ready for the exam. And you have to consider whether you should be taking the exam in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Now, I'm going to say a little bit more about that later on when you realize that you're not ready for the exam and what to do. But you have to be honest with yourself. And if you're not consistently getting the scores that you need to get the band that you want, then probably you need more practice before you take the exam. Okay. And if you really know why you're scared of the writing, try and work out what it is. Just being scared of the writing is not enough because you can't help yourself with that idea. You need to really find out what the problem is. What is it that you're scared of? What is it that you can't do well or that you're not sure about? And then change that. Get help or whatever, but change the things that are stopping you from being consistent. So once you're good and consistent and you know that every time you do a listening you're going to get that score, then that means you're ready to go into the exam and your confidence level will be quite high. So now your job is to maintain that confidence level and even increase it if you can. So here's a way that you can do that. So write down everything that you're good at. Now, I don't mean I'm good at listening. It might be I'm really good at doing multiple choice in the listening. Or I'm really good at doing the yes, no, not given in the reading. And they will be the exercises that when you see them on the paper, you'll say, oh, great, you know, I can do these. So write down all of the things that you know you are good at in each part of the test. I mean, in the writing, you may be very good at doing task 1, but not so good at task 2. Or in the speaking, you may be very good at doing part 3. You may enjoy part 3 the most. And so that would be one of your achievements at IELTS. So write them down in a column. Then write down everything that you feel you are not good at, the ones that you look at and say, oh, I hope I don't get this in the exam, the ones that you don't enjoy doing, or the ones that you struggle with, and write those down in another column. Then write down the things that you worry about. Now, these might not be the same as the things you're not good at. It's possible that you're worrying about the yes, no, not given questions in reading, but you might also be worrying about things like, what's the exam room going to look like? How many students are there going to be there? Will I be able to go to the toilet if I need to? Can I use pen or pencil? There may be lots of these things going around in your head that you're actually worried about, and these are going to be a distraction to you. So it's important to try and find out this information so that you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. So write down anything that comes into your head, it doesn't matter, that might be a slight worry. How far is the bus stop from the centre? You know, how long is it going to take me to walk there? How long should I get there beforehand? Is there going to be a long queue to do all the preliminaries? So all of those things, write them down. And the good news is those things can be easily found out by ringing the centre, or by talking to your teacher, or by asking another student. But be careful if you ask another student, make sure it's somebody who's taken the test very recently, because I know from talking to my students, things keep changing, and some things are a little bit different from centre to centre. So your best bet there is to ring the centre and just ask those questions. That's what they're there for, and they will be able to help you. And once you're clear on those, you won't be worrying about them anymore, and they won't distract you, and they won't get in the way of your mental preparation and your confidence preparation. Then in the final column, write down the things that you enjoy doing. So if you get, for example, in task 1, a bar chart, and you like doing those because you find them quite easy to write about, then those are the things in that column. So it may not be that you get the best score in that every time, but it might be just the part of the exam that you really quite like doing. For example, I quite like doing summaries, especially the summaries with the word list. It's a little bit like a jigsaw puzzle with me, and I do enjoy doing that. And I quite like the 3-word short answers as well. So those things you put into that column. And then work out how your scores look, your worried to happy or your good to not so good ratio. So as you look at the columns, what you hope to see is that the first column of things you are good at is very long, and the second column is quite short. And then the worry column, it could be long, it could be short, but that one is easy to deal with. And the enjoy column hopefully will tally with the good column. So look at what you can see on your paper. If your not so good column is a bit long, you need to get that shorter. And if your worry column is a bit long, you need to get rid of that. So this will help you see some areas that you can work on and eliminate so that everything is going into good and enjoy. And when you get to that stage, then your confidence level will go up. And I think another thing is to think about the exam not as an exam, but as an opportunity for you to perform, as an opportunity for you to show the examiner, I am at band 7, or I am at band 8, or I am at band 6.5, whatever it is. So think of it as an opportunity. Don't think of it as a test. And when you're given an opportunity, it's a much more joyful and energetic thing to do. Whereas when you're tested, you tend to feel a bit negative. So even the way you think about the exam, the way you talk about the exam can help to boost your confidence. Okay, so I think you might be surprised that there are lots of things that you're very good at, and it's important to realize that. Don't just always think about the things that you're not good at, because confidence lies in your strengths, not in your weaknesses. So your job is to increase your strength so that your confidence will also increase. So when you've compared the lists, then go through, see what you need to do. A phone call will get rid of your worries, and some focused work will get rid of your weaker areas. And what you're hoping to do is to get everything into that I'm really good column. Okay. And you may think this is a strange exercise, but quite frankly, there is something very energetic about writing things down and then seeing them on paper. And it does make a big difference to how you feel about things, how you look at things, how you regard things. So it is a really worthwhile exercise to do, because once you see it on paper, I think you will be surprised. And now clap yourself. Give yourself a round of applause for everything that's good. Feel good about that column. Keep looking at it. Wow, these are the things that I'm really, really good at. And then address the things that you're not, so that you can put more things into your I'm good at these column, and you can applaud yourself even more. And that's where we're heading. Okay, so you're getting 33 out of 40 for your listening and reading. You're getting band just about every time, and sometimes hopefully you're getting higher. Your speaking, you know, is fantastic. You're not worried about the speaking. You can do that with your eyes closed. So you're really ready on all of your skills work, and your confidence is starting to go up because you realize that you are ready. So everything is in place. And now we just need to work on the skills around confidence, mental agility, and energy and stamina that will get us through that day. So here are some things to do that will help with that energy level, stamina, and mental preparedness. First of all, get some support. Now, this kind of support that I'm talking about, which is finding some study buddies, has worked really well with my students. In one of my programs, Ielts Step by Step, which is a technique program, we have a Facebook group, and the students come onto that private Facebook group and they boost each other. They've also set up from that group a Skype group where they meet to talk. And a few of them recently were taking their exam. In fact, I can report that one of them today, just before I came onto this Hangout, sent me his result, which was, it made my day. He got 7.5 in listening and reading and 7 in speaking and writing. So he's on his way. And he was a member of this group. And they used to meet every day prior to the exam for maybe half an hour. Sometimes not all of them could go, and it might be just 2 or 3 of them. But they found that helped a lot. The speaking improved in fluency and in confidence, and also some of them had skills and some of them had abilities where others were more weak. So this particular student that I'm talking about was very good in reading, and there was another student who was very good in listening. So they were able to help each other with that as well. So this really is a fantastic confidence booster. If you don't do anything else with a teacher, get your writing checked. It's so important, because it is almost impossible to do checking on your own writing, almost impossible. And so it's a good idea, if you do anything and spend anything on your IELTS over and above the exam, get your writing checked. Then you know where your mistakes are. When you have your mistakes down, you won't avoid them necessarily in the exam, but you'll be aware of them. And so you should go into the exam with a mental checklist. This is the things that you know you get wrong every time. It might be prepositions, it might be usually articles, it might be agreement with singular plural nouns or subjects with verbs. All of those small things, you will know what they are. And when you check in the exam, those are the things you check first. So everybody has a small list of mistakes that they keep making over and over. And by focusing on them, then you will help to eliminate while you write, and you can also check them when you've finished your writing. Those are the things you check. And remember, I said this last week, what you focus on improves. It's a universal truth. So if you don't have a mental checklist, how do you know what to check? If you don't get your writing checked, how do you know what to put in your mental checklist? So it's really vital that somebody looks at your writing and tells you what things you have to avoid to get the score that you want. If you really, really, really can't get your writing checked by either a teacher or a native speaker or somebody who's got band 9, they will not necessarily be able to tell you how to avoid. Only a teacher can do that, but they can tell you what's wrong or where it's wrong. Then find somewhere to post it. There are lots of forums online. Post your writing on the forum and get some feedback. See what you can do. But these kind of things will really help you to be mentally prepared. They'll give you energy. Working with other students is a very energetic thing to do, and they'll give you energy which will help with your stamina. Okay, now on the day, and also this may happen in your practice, sometimes you lose focus. It could be because you're struggling with something and you're getting a little bit fed up with it, or it could be that you're doing too much. Sometimes students do study too much. Language is not something that you can cram like facts, like scientific facts. Language needs to grow in your head, in your memory. And so quite often if you cram too much, it just doesn't consolidate. And language needs time. So you'll find when you're studying a language that it doesn't go up in a curve. It plateaus. So it goes up, and then for a long time you don't feel as though you're making progress, and then suddenly it goes up again. That's the pattern for language learning. It's a kind of stepped pattern, and those steps where it's going along the plateau is where it's consolidating in your memory. So don't worry about that. Things are happening, and then suddenly you'll find there's another boost. A lot of students, particularly those with a scientific background, get very frustrated with language learning because it doesn't all go in like it does if you're learning facts. It doesn't work that way. You have to have time for bedding down and consolidation. And sometimes those frustrations can stop you from working effectively. So here are some techniques. Don't do this in the listening. Do it in your listening practice. If the listening is getting overwhelming, stop the tape. Take a minute and then start it again. But you can do it in the writing, the reading, not so much in the speaking exam. It's a little bit difficult, but you can take a couple of deep breaths and have a short hesitation, because this is quite natural in speech. But just stop, close your eyes, and take a couple of deep breaths, and then that helps you to move on. Visual for working on difficult things like this, and it's visualizing your outcome. So just sit for a few minutes and just think about that paper that you see, or that screen that you see where your results will be displayed, and try and imagine the result that you want on that page. This is quite a useful thing to do before you go to sleep. So in the last few minutes before you go to sleep, just visualize your result, and it's the result that you want. And you've got your 7 in listening, or your 8 in speaking, or your 7.5 in writing, whatever it is that you want, visualize it on the page. And again, this is an energetic thing, and it's a confidence thing. So the more you visualize that, obviously visualize it if you're able to receive it. If you are scoring 5.5 and you want 7.5, then it's not going to tally, and what you need to do is to go back to your English and get it up to 7.5. Then the visualization will have more power. Okay, be positive. You made your list of the things that you're good at. So when you're struggling with yes, no, not given, don't beat yourself up. Say, okay, I need to do this, but I am good at multiple choice. I am good at maps and diagrams. I am good at headings. So, you know, just keep balancing what you're really good at with the things that you're still struggling a little bit with. And don't forget to get help. This is where teachers come in. We know how to improve things. We know how to advise you. But get help. Don't just sit there worrying. Either go to a teacher. If you can't go to a teacher, then find somebody else who can help you with this. So as I said before, if you form a little study buddy group, then those are the people that can also help you. And one of my students who was in such a group said, it's really wonderful to have people with whom you can discuss this. Because she said, if I talk to people who are not doing the exam, who are not on that same journey as me, they're not interested, they don't understand, and they're sympathetic, but they can't really they can't empathize with how I'm feeling. Whereas the group on Skype and the group on Facebook, we're all doing this together so we can really help each other. So do get help and do use those energies to help you boost your confidence. If you really get stuck and frustrated and you just cannot get the answers out, close your book, turn off your computer and go for a walk. Or stand up and do some stretching exercises, something physical, because physical exercise, even 5 minutes, will help to clear your mind and will help to focus you better. So don't keep struggling, it will get worse, honestly. I've been there myself. Best thing is to leave it, just 5 minutes, it won't hurt, and go outside, get some fresh air, have a run around, have a little walk, whatever it is that will clear the air, clear your memory, and give you a boost of energy to go back and start again. And I guarantee when you go back, it will all look different. Okay, I mentioned before that I was going to talk a little bit about what happens if you realize that you're really not ready, if your scores are not coming out consistently at what you want. Then if this happens, you need to make a tough decision. You need to decide, what am I going to do? Now, I don't really advocate going into an exam when you know that you're not going to get the score you want. I think mentally and confidence-wise, it can be detrimental. However, some people don't have that same opinion. For some people, tests are like water off a duck's back. It doesn't bother them. So if you're that kind of person, then you may be quite happy to go ahead and take the test. If you're a more nervous, lacking in confidence around exams kind of person, you may think that this might make things worse. So you have to decide what kind of character you have around exams. If you can postpone it, that's a good idea if you're really not ready. So you may want to consider that. I know sometimes there are deadlines and it costs money, so you have to balance all of that. But if you can postpone it, give yourself more time to practice, then do. If you really, really can't postpone it, or you feel, well, it doesn't matter, I'll take it anyway, then decide how you're going to approach this exam. What are you going to do in the exam? And the best thing to do is to use it for yourself, to test yourself. Forget about the examiner, forget about the, or don't forget about the examiner because they're actually there, but forget about your score. Don't worry about your score. Use it to test yourself to see where you are on the band scale. So this is a good opportunity to have like a mock test. In fact, it's the real thing, but it's a really good mock test. And I think if you shift your focus from, oh my goodness, I'm not going to get my score, what am I going to do, to, okay, let's see how I come out. Let's just see what happens. And then from those results, I will take action. And I think if you're in that different space, then often you'll do better than you thought you would, because your whole mental energy is looking at the exam in a completely different way. Your confidence is not going down because you're not thinking about your score. You're not thinking about failing. And in IELTS, you don't fail. You just get a score that you don't want, pretty much, but you don't fail. So use that exam to test yourself and see where you are. And assess when you get your result, have a look and say, okay, I need to do more work on reading, or I need to do more work on listening, and then you can just evaluate where you are on that and then move forward. So really shift your perception of how this exam is going to work for you, and it won't be anything to do with your final band score. It will be more to do with where am I at the moment. But I would say if there is a chance to postpone, depending on how far away you are from the score you want, that might be one thing that you could do. Okay, so teachers, obviously, especially experienced and trained IELTS teachers, are going to be the best resource for you. And if you are able to work with a teacher, then these are the ways in which they'll help you confidence-wise. So I'm not talking about the language skills, that's a given. All teachers are trained in the skills and in English language, but teachers are also trained in how to boost confidence in students, how to mentally prepare them for exams, so they have these skills as well. And they will be able to help you to focus on the things that will improve your score, and by doing that, your confidence is automatically going to increase. They can be a positive support. If you have any doubts or anything you're not sure of, they are the person to go to because they have the answers. And that will build your confidence when you know how to do things better. It's somebody you can discuss your emotions around the exam because they understand about the problems that you're facing. And all the teachers that you ever meet will want you to do well. All teachers want their students, if they are good teachers. I would suggest if they don't want their students to do well, then they're probably not good teachers and shouldn't be in the profession, because it isn't a sort of rules role. I mean, as a teacher, you're in a supportive role. So we all want you to do well. And so you can discuss your feelings, your emotions around the exam, and they'll be a good person to talk to about this, and they'll be able to help you to contain those emotions and do the practical actions you need to do to overcome those emotional feelings. And of course, they are experts. So you can get advice, you can get support, help, and expertise. And all of these things help you to be better prepared for the exam. And in the last few days before the exam, this is a really vital thing that you'll probably need, because we get nervous. I get nervous before these kind of events. I remember doing exams in the past. Everybody gets nervous. It's natural. And that bit of adrenaline can be helpful, but too much can be detrimental. So it is good support to have. And I am offering 10 people from this webinar and last week's the chance to work with myself and one of my expert IELTS teachers on my team in the last 2 to 3 weeks before the exam. Because we spend quite a lot of time with the students, I can only offer this opportunity to 10 people. That's all we can work with within the next month. It will be a 2 to 3 week intensive course. You'll get work every day, and you'll also get feedback every day. It will be a one-to-one situation, so you'll be working privately with one teacher who will be focusing just on what you need. So not a classroom situation, but just what you need to improve, what you need to focus on in those last 2 to 3 weeks before the exam. As I said, you'll send work and you'll get feedback every day. And in addition to that daily feedback, which will be via email, you'll also have Skype calls when you can go through your listening, go through your reading, go through your writing, and practice your speaking. And because I want to make sure that all 10 people who join this opportunity are going to get maximum benefit from this course, I will have a personal conversation with everybody to make sure that it's right for you. And if it isn't, I will tell you, because I want you to get the best from this course. So I don't want you to take it if it's not going to be the right thing. And that personal conversation will be about half an hour. And even if you're not sure whether it's something that you want to do, or you're not sure if you're ready, etc., then book the conversation anyway, because I can help you to make that decision. Okay, so let's just summarize what we've spoken about in terms of confidence building, mental energy improvement, focus, and stamina. So improve your skills, get really good. You need to be hitting your target score every time you do a practice test. So you have to have consistency. And this is the very best way. If you go into that exam taking the opportunity to demonstrate your ability, and you know you can do that at the band score that you want, then your confidence will be very high. Congratulate yourself. Make sure that you know what you're good at and appreciate the fact that you're good at that. Congratulate your achievement on that, and then go away and focus on the things that will that still need to improve. Okay? Make that column of good skills increase and the column of weaker areas decrease. And if you do that on a piece of paper and you can physically see it, that has a really energetic effect on your confidence. Okay, find friends to study with. Even if you study with a teacher, even my students who study one-on-one with me, I encourage them to go and join another speaking group or come onto my Facebook group so that they can connect with other students who are doing the same journey on the same route. And the energy in that they're often called mastermind groups, these kind of groups, and the energy in that is really, really valuable, and particularly in those last 3 weeks. Get professional help and support where you can. That's important. And don't forget to ring the centre and get rid of all those worries that are running around in your head. And use the relaxing techniques and the other techniques I talked about so that you can stay focused, so that you can maintain your stamina and your mental energy. And that will all help with your confidence on the day, and it should get you through that day without a headache, without feeling sick, without having stomach ache. You know, it's quite important. The mental preparation will remove these physical symptoms. And I know students all the time tell me they get these physical symptoms. But if you have good energy levels, that should help you get through the day without any of those symptoms. Okay, so if you are interested in this opportunity for 10 people, and we really would love to help all of you get to the score that you want and make sure that you can move on with your dreams for your future, the way to do that is to speak to me. And I can help 10 people, but I'm happy to speak to whoever is interested in this opportunity. So even if you're not sure it's for you, then just book a call and I can help you to decide. It's quite easy to do that. All you need to do is to follow this link, ieltslearningtips.com/IELTS exam booster. Let me say that again, ieltslearningtips.com/IELTS exam booster, and it's there on the screen. So you follow that link and that will bring up my timetable, and on the timetable there are several slots that you can book to have a Skype call with me. And then all I need from you is your Skype name. I will make a contact approach, and then you have to be there on Skype at the time of your call, and then we can have a call and look at where you are with your IELTS and see whether this is going to be a good opportunity for you. Okay, So, thank you for coming along today and for listening to this, and I hope that this will be helpful. But you need both good skills and good confidence. These are the main ingredients, the only ingredients really, to be successful in the IELTS. So remember, if you didn't see last week's webinar, you can catch that on the YouTube channel. Good luck, all of you, with your preparation and with your exam. And I hope to speak to many of you in the next week to 10 days. Thank you. Bye-bye.